The sound of Hannah's heels clicking against our hardwood floor had become the soundtrack to my personal hell. Each sharp tap was a reminder of how far we'd drifted apart, how the woman I'd married had transformed into someone I barely recognized. "I'm going out," she announced, not looking up from her phone as she applied lipstick in the hallway mirror. The red was darker than usual, more dramatic. Date night, red. I looked up from my laptop where I'd been reviewing quarterly reports for my tech consulting firm. "Where to this time?" "Dinner with Richard." She finally glanced at me, her green eyes cold as winter lake water. "My boss, remember? The one who actually appreciates what I bring to the table." Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Richard Lane, CEO of Pinnacle Marketing, Hannah's company for the past 2 years. Married to old money, drove a BMW that cost more than most people's houses, and had been circling my wife like a shark ever since she started working there. "Right," I said, keeping my voice level. "Another late business dinner." Hannah turned from the mirror, and for a moment I saw a flicker of something. Guilt, maybe, or defiance. "Eliot, I need more than what you give me. Richard understands ambition. He understands drive. And I don't?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You sold your company and now you just coast. You're comfortable with mediocre. I'm not." What she didn't know was that I hadn't just sold my company. I'd taken the proceeds and quietly bought shares in other businesses, including a significant stake in Pinnacle Marketing. But Hannah had stopped listening to me months ago, so she'd never bothered to ask about the details. "So, this is a date," I said. "Yes." The word hung between us like a blade. "I need to see what else is out there, what I might be missing." I stood up slowly, closing my laptop with deliberate care. "Hannah, if you walk out that door tonight to go on a date with another man, everything changes. Everything." She grabbed her purse, a designer bag I'd bought her for our anniversary last year. "Maybe it's time things changed." The front door closed with a soft click that echoed through our suddenly empty house like a gunshot. I pulled out my phone and dialed. "Marcia, it's Eliot Carver. Execute everything we discussed. All of it, tonight." My lawyer's voice was crisp and professional. "Are you certain? Once we start this process?" She just walked out the door to go on a date with her boss. "I'm certain. I'll have the papers filed first thing in the morning. The account freezes will be effective within the hour." I hung up and made another call. "Greg, it's time." "Yeah, she actually did it. Meet me at Murphy's Bar in an hour, and bring your camera." Murphy's Bar was the kind of place where secrets went to die. Dim lighting, worn leather booths, and a bartender named Eddie who'd been pouring drinks and collecting gossip for 30 years. It was also 3 blocks from Pinnacle Marketing's downtown offices. Greg Martinez slid into the booth across from me, his ex-cop instincts already scanning the room. We'd been friends since college, and he was one of the few people who'd seen through Hannah's charm from the beginning. "So she actually said it was a date?" Greg asked, signaling Eddie for a beer. "Word for word, said she needed to see what else was out there." I took a long pull from my whiskey. "Richard Lane thinks he's untouchable because he's got money and connections. He's about to learn otherwise." "What's the plan?" I pulled out my phone and showed him a series of documents. "Remember how I told you I diversified after selling the company? I've been quietly buying shares in Pinnacle Marketing for 8 months. As of this afternoon, I own 31%. Richard owns 28%, and the rest is scattered among smaller investors." Greg's eyebrows shot up. "You're the majority shareholder of your wife's company?" "Not yet, but I will be by tomorrow morning. Marcia's been working with 3 of the smaller shareholders. They're selling to me at market price. By the time Richard wakes up tomorrow, I'll own 53% of his company." "And Hannah?" "Hannah's about to discover that actions have consequences." My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. They're at Celestial, the rooftop place on 5th Street. Cozy table by the windows. She's wearing the red dress you bought her for Christmas. I showed Greg the message. Angie? Hannah's assistant. Turns out she's not as loyal as Hannah thinks, especially when she found out Hannah's been taking credit for her work. Greg grinned. You've been busy. I've been patient. There's a difference. I finished my whiskey and stood up. Come on, time for phase 2. We drove to Celestial in Greg's pickup truck, parking across the street with a clear view of the restaurant's floor-to-ceiling windows. The rooftop dining room was lit up like a fishbowl, and it didn't take long to spot them. Hannah was leaning across the table, her hand covering Richard's. Even from this distance, I could see her laughing at whatever he was saying, playing with her hair the way she used to do with me. There, Greg said, raising his camera with the telephoto lens. Table by the north windows. The camera clicked rapidly as Greg captured shot after shot. Hannah feeding Richard a bite of her dessert, Richard's hand on her knee under the table, the two of them kissing as the waiter discreetly looked away. Got enough? I asked. More than enough. These are going to be very expensive photos for Mr. Lane. My phone rang. The caller ID showed Elise Lane. Mrs. Lane, I answered. Mr. Carver, I assume you're watching the show? Elise Lane was everything Hannah aspired to be. Old money, sophisticated, connected. She was also ruthless when crossed, and she'd been watching her husband's wandering eye for months. I have a clear view, yes. Good. The board meeting is set for tomorrow at 9 a.m. I've spoken with the other major shareholders. They're very concerned about Richard's recent judgment issues. And the other matter? The alienation of affection lawsuit will be filed tomorrow afternoon. My attorney assures me it will be quite public. I watched Hannah laugh at something Richard said, completely oblivious to the trap closing around her. Mrs. Lane, it's been a pleasure doing business with you. The pleasure is mutual, Mr. Carver. Some people need to learn that there are consequences for their choices. I was sitting in my home office at 11 p.m. when I heard Hannah's key in the front door. Except the key didn't work anymore. I'd had the locks changed at 9 p.m., right after the locksmith finished installing the new security system. The doorbell rang. Once, twice, then continuously, as Hannah held her finger on the button. I opened the door to find her standing on the porch, her face flushed with anger and what looked like a fair amount of wine. The key doesn't work, she said. That's because it's not your key anymore. I gestured to the 3 cardboard boxes sitting beside the door. Your things are packed. The important stuff, anyway. Eliot, what the hell? How was dinner? I interrupted. Did Richard enjoy the salmon? You seem to be enjoying feeding it to him. Her face went pale. You followed me? I didn't have to. Turns out half the city knows about your little romance, including Richard's wife. Hannah pushed past me into the house, but I caught her arm. Actually, you can't come in. This is my house now. The divorce papers will be served tomorrow morning, along with a restraining order if you don't leave voluntarily. You can't do this. I live here. You lived here. Past tense. You made your choice when you walked out that door for your date. She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Eliot, I know you're upset, but we can work through this. It was just dinner. It was just dinner where you kissed another man, held hands with another man, and told him you were going to leave your husband for him. Yes, Hannah, the table next to you heard everything. Amazing how sound carries in those glass-walled restaurants. The color drained from her face completely now. Oh, and one more thing, I continued. Richard won't be your boss much longer. He's being terminated tomorrow morning. Turns out the board doesn't appreciate executives who sleep with their employees, especially married executives. You're lying. I pulled out my phone and showed her the email I'd received an hour earlier. Board meeting minutes. Richard Lane terminated for cause. No severance package. Effective immediately. Hannah grabbed for the phone, but I pulled it back. How? She whispered. I bought the company, Hannah. Well, 53% of it. Turns out all that coasting I was doing involved making some very strategic investments. Richard works for me now. Worked for me, past tense. She sank onto the porch steps, her designer dress pooling around her. This is insane. You can't destroy someone's career over what? Over my wife having an affair? Over her publicly humiliating me? Over her telling another man she's leaving her husband? I shook my head. Richard destroyed his own career the moment he decided to pursue a married employee. I just made sure there were consequences. My phone buzzed with a text message. I glanced at it and smiled. "What now?" Hannah asked. "That was Angie. Apparently, the photos of your dinner date are already making the rounds on social media. Celestial Cheaters is starting to trend." Hannah's hands flew to her face. "Oh, God." "You should probably call Richard," I suggested. "I'm sure he's having an interesting conversation with his wife right about now." As if on cue, Hannah's phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face crumpled. "It's him," she whispered. "Answer it." She swiped to accept the call, putting it on speaker. "Hannah, what did you do?" Richard's voice was high and panicked. "Elise knows everything. She's filing for divorce and she's taking half the company. She's also suing you for alienation of affection." "Richard, calm down." "Calm down? I just lost my job, my wife, and half my net worth. And it's all over the internet. My kids are going to see this." "Your job?" Hannah looked confused. "I've been fired, terminated for cause. Apparently your husband owns the company now. Did you know that? Did you know you were sleeping with me while your husband was buying my business?" Hannah's eyes met mine, and I saw the exact moment she realized the scope of what I'd done. "Richard, don't call me again. Don't contact me. Don't come near me. My lawyer says any further contact could be considered harassment." The line went dead. Hannah sat in stunned silence for a long moment. Then she looked up at me. "You planned this. All of it." "I prepared for it. There's a difference. I hoped I'd never have to use any of it." I picked up one of the boxes and set it next to her. "But you made your choice." "What am I supposed to do now? Where am I supposed to go?" "That's not my problem anymore, Hannah. You walked out that door to start a new life. This is what that new life looks like." She stood up slowly, her legs shaky. "I'll fight this. I'll contest the divorce. With what lawyer? Your accounts are frozen. Your credit cards are canceled. Your car is in my name, so I've reported it stolen if you don't return it by morning." "You can't do that." "Actually, I can. It's my car. I've been making the payments." I pulled the keys from my pocket. "You can leave the keys in the mailbox." Hannah stared at me for a long moment, then grabbed two of the boxes. "I'll be back for the third one," she said. "No, you won't. Anything left here after tomorrow gets donated to charity." She walked to the car, my car, and loaded the boxes into the trunk. Before getting in, she turned back to me. "I loved you, Eliot. I really did." "No, Hannah. You loved the idea of me, the security, the comfort, the safety net. But you never loved me enough to stay faithful. You never loved me enough to choose me." She drove away into the night, and I watched until her taillights disappeared around the corner. Then I went inside, poured myself another whiskey, and called Greg. "It's done," I said when he answered. "How do you feel?" I thought about it for a moment, like I just took out the trash. The next morning brought a steady rain that matched my mood perfectly. I was sitting in my kitchen, drinking coffee and reading the local news online, when my phone started buzzing with notifications. The story had broken overnight. Local marketing executive terminated after affair photos surface. The article was accompanied by several of Greg's photos from the restaurant, along with screenshots from social media showing Hannah and Richard's dinner date from multiple angles. Apparently, other diners had been taking pictures too. My phone rang. It was Tom Brennan, Richard's former VP, and now the interim CEO of Pinnacle Marketing. "Mr. Carver, this is Tom Brennan. I wanted to call and introduce myself as the new head of operations. Good morning, Tom. I assume you've seen the news? Yes, sir. Quite a mess. I want to assure you that we're taking immediate steps to distance the company from this scandal. We've also terminated Mrs. Carver's employment, effective immediately. I hadn't expected that, but it made sense. On what grounds? Violation of company policy regarding workplace relationships. She never disclosed her relationship with Mr. Lane, which is required for any employee involved with a supervisor. I see. We're also conducting an internal audit to ensure there were no other policy violations or conflicts of interest during their relationship. That sounds prudent, Tom. I look forward to working with you. After I hung up, I realized Hannah was now unemployed, homeless, and facing a very public lawsuit. Part of me felt a twinge of guilt, but then I remembered the look on her face when she told me she was going on a date with another man. The guilt passed quickly. My doorbell rang at noon. I opened it to find Hannah standing there in yesterday's clothes, looking like she hadn't slept. "They fired me," she said without preamble. "I heard." "I need money, Eliot. I need somewhere to stay. You need to figure out your new life," I interrupted. "The one you chose when you walked out that door. Please, I'm begging you, I made a mistake." "You made a choice. There's a difference." I started to close the door, but she put her hand against it. "What about our friends? What about Mike and Jennifer? They'll help me. They'll see how crazy this is." I paused. Mike and Jennifer Santos had been our closest friends for 5 years. Mike was my former business partner, and Jennifer was Hannah's college roommate. "You should call them," I said. Something in my tone made her eyes narrow. "What did you do?" "I didn't do anything. But you might want to ask Jennifer about the photos." Hannah's face went white. "What photos?" "The ones from last month, at the hotel bar downtown. You and Richard before you decided to make it official." The truth was, I'd known about the affair for 6 weeks. Greg had spotted them together and started following them, documenting everything. I'd been hoping Hannah would come to her senses and end it. Instead, she decided to make it public. "Jennifer saw us?" "Jennifer took the pictures. Turns out she was more loyal to me than to you. She's been documenting your affair for weeks, hoping I'd use the evidence to save our marriage." Hannah sank against the doorframe. "She was my best friend." "She was your best friend, past tense. She's pretty disgusted with you right now." "And Mike?" "Mike's the one who helped me set up the shell company that bought Pinnacle's shares. He thinks what you did was unforgivable." Hannah's phone buzzed. She looked at it, and her face crumpled. "Jennifer?" She nodded, showing me the text. "Don't contact us again. What you did to Eliot is unforgivable. We're not your friends anymore." "So that's it?" Hannah asked. "You've turned everyone against me?" "I didn't turn anyone against you, Hannah. You did that yourself when you decided to have a public affair. I just made sure people knew the truth." She stood there for a long moment, rain starting to soak through her clothes. "I have nowhere to go," she said quietly. "There's a Motel 6 on Route 9, I replied. "They take cash." "I don't have any cash. My accounts are frozen, remember?" "Then I guess you should have thought about that before you decided to blow up your life." This time when I closed the door, she didn't try to stop me. 3 days later, I was having lunch at Murphy's bar when Mike Santos slid into the booth across from me. He looked uncomfortable, which was unusual for Mike. We'd been through a lot together, building and selling our first company, his messy divorce, my father's death. Very little made Mike uncomfortable anymore. "We need to talk," he said without preamble. "About?" "About Hannah, about what you're doing to her." I set down my sandwich and studied my oldest friend. "What am I doing to her?" "Come on, Eliot. Freezing her accounts, getting her fired, turning her friends against her. Don't you think you're going a little overboard?" "She had an affair, Mike, a very public affair. She told me to my face she was going on a date with another man." "I know, and that was wrong. But this is destroying her life." She destroyed her own life. I'm just making sure there are consequences. Mike leaned forward. Jennifer's worried about you. She thinks you've gone off the deep end. That surprised me. Jennifer helped document the affair. Because she hoped you'd use it to confront Hannah and save your marriage, not to destroy her completely. Save my marriage? I laughed, but there was no humor in it. Mike, she looked me in the eye and told me she was going on a date with her boss. She said she needed to see what else was out there. What marriage was I supposed to save? She made a mistake. She made a choice. A deliberate, calculated choice to humiliate me publicly. I leaned back in the booth. Tell me something, Mike. When Sarah cheated on you, did you just forgive and forget? Mike's ex-wife had had an affair with his business partner, which had led to both his divorce and the dissolution of their first company. That's different, Mike said. How? Sarah didn't... it wasn't as public. Sarah took half your money and half your business. Hannah gets nothing and no business. Seems fair to me. Mike was quiet for a moment. Then he said, Jennifer wants to help her. Help her how? Money. A place to stay until she gets back on her feet. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. I see. She's staying at that motel on Route 9. It's not safe, Eliot. She's scared and alone, and that's what happens when you blow up your life for a married man who dumps you the moment things get complicated. Mike stared at me. I don't recognize you right now. You don't recognize me? I'm the same guy I've always been. I'm just not being a doormat anymore. There's a difference between standing up for yourself and being vindictive. Is there? I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot. This is from Hannah's social media yesterday. She posted about how I'm an abusive husband who's trying to control her through money. Mike read the post, his frown deepening. She's telling people I was emotionally abusive throughout our marriage, that I isolated her from her friends and family, that I'm using my money to punish her for trying to leave. That's not true. No, it's not. But she's got 300 people believing it, including some mutual acquaintances who are starting to ask questions about my character. Mike handed the phone back. So, what are you going to do? I'm going to make sure everyone knows the real story. Eliot, she wants to play victim? Fine. But she's not going to rewrite history to make herself look innocent. Mike stood up. I think you should talk to someone. A therapist, maybe. This level of anger is perfectly normal for someone whose wife publicly humiliated them and is now lying about it on social media. Jennifer and I are going to help her whether you like it or not. I nodded slowly. That's your choice, Mike. But if you do, you're choosing her over me, and that choice has consequences too. Mike stared at me for a long moment. Are you threatening our friendship? I'm stating a fact. You can't be friends with both of us, not after what she's done, and not after what she's saying about me now. That's not fair. Fair? I laughed. Mike, she's accusing me of domestic abuse. She's trying to destroy my reputation to save her own. If you support that, then we have nothing left to talk about. Mike left without another word. That evening, Jennifer called. Eliot, we need to talk. Mike told me, you're going to help Hannah. She's in trouble, real trouble. She has no money, no job, no place to live. She has all of those things because she chose to have an affair. She made a mistake. Jennifer, she posted on social media yesterday calling me an abusive husband. Is that the kind of person you want to help? There was silence on the other end of the line. She's desperate, Jennifer finally said. People say things when they're desperate. So you're okay with her lying about me publicly as long as she's desperate? That's not what I said. It's what you meant. I sighed. Jennifer, I considered you one of my closest friends. But if you're going to help someone who's actively trying to destroy my reputation, then we can't be friends anymore. You're being unreasonable. I'm being realistic. Choose carefully, Jennifer, because once you make this choice, there's no going back." She hung up without saying goodbye. The confrontation came the following Saturday at Murphy's bar. I was having dinner alone when Mike, Jennifer, and Hannah walked in together. Hannah looked better than she had in days: clean clothes, styled hair, makeup. Jennifer had clearly taken her shopping. They sat at a table across the room, but I could feel their eyes on me. After about 10 minutes, Mike got up and walked over to my booth. "Can we talk?" he asked. We already talked. As friends, all of us, like adults. I looked over at their table. Hannah was staring at me with an expression I couldn't read. Jennifer looked nervous. "Fine," I said, "but this is a public place. Keep that in mind." We moved to a larger table in the back corner. Hannah sat across from me, with Mike and Jennifer flanking her like bodyguards. "I want to apologize," Hannah said without preamble. "For which part?" "For the affair, for hurting you, for the things I said on social media. The things you said about me being abusive." She flinched. "I was angry. I was scared. I said things I shouldn't have said." "You accused me of domestic abuse, Hannah. Do you understand what that could do to my reputation? My business?" "I know, I'm sorry. I'll post a retraction." "A retraction?" I laughed. "You think you can just take it back?" Jennifer leaned forward. "She's trying to make things right, Eliot." "By lying about me publicly? By trying to destroy my reputation to save her own?" "She was desperate," Mike said. "She made a mistake." "She made a lot of mistakes. The affair was a mistake. Going on a public date was a mistake. But accusing me of abuse? That wasn't a mistake. That was calculated." Hannah's eyes filled with tears. "I never meant for it to go this far." "What did you mean for, Hannah? When you told me you were going on a date with another man, what exactly did you think would happen?" I thought you'd fight for me." The honesty of it hit me like a physical blow. "You thought I'd fight for you? I thought you'd get angry, or jealous, or something. I thought you'd show me that you still cared." "So the affair was what, a test?" "No, the affair was real. My feelings for Richard were real. But when I told you about the date, part of me hoped you'd stop me." I stared at her across the table. "You wanted me to fight for you while you were sleeping with another man?" "I wanted you to fight for us." "There was no us left to fight for, Hannah. You'd already chosen Richard." "But I was wrong. Richard dumped me the second things got complicated. He didn't fight for me at all." "And now you want me back because your first choice didn't work out?" The tears were flowing freely now. "I want you back because I realized I made a terrible mistake. Because I love you." "You love me?" I leaned forward. "Hannah, 3 weeks ago you told me I was mediocre. You said Richard understood ambition in ways I never could. You said you needed more than what I could give you. Now suddenly you love me." "I was wrong about all of that." "No, you were honest about all of that. You were finally telling me what you really thought of me, of our marriage, of our life together." Mike cleared his throat. "Look, maybe you two could try counseling." "Counseling?" I turned to him. "Mike, she had a 6-week affair, went on a public date with her boss, accused me of domestic abuse on social media, and now wants to get back together because her boyfriend dumped her. What exactly would we counsel about?" "About forgiveness," Jennifer said quietly. "About second chances." I gave her a second chance. I gave her dozens of second chances over the years. Every time she flirted with other men at parties. Every time she came home late from work events. Every time she made me feel like I wasn't good enough. Hannah looked stricken. "You never said anything." "Because I trusted you. Because I believed you when you said those things didn't mean anything." I stood up. "But they did mean something. They meant you were already looking for someone else." "That's not true." "It is true, and we all know it." I looked at Mike and Jennifer. You two want to help her? Fine. But don't ask me to pretend this is about love or mistakes or second chances. This is about consequences. Hannah made choices, and now she's living with the results. So that's it? Hannah asked. You're just going to destroy my life and walk away? I'm not destroying your life, Hannah. Your life is destroyed because you destroyed it. I'm just not cleaning up the mess for you anymore. I turned to leave, but Mike caught my arm. We've been friends for 15 years, he said. Yes, we have. And in all that time, have I ever lied to you? Have I ever betrayed you? Have I ever asked you to choose between me and someone who hurt you? Mike's grip loosened. You're choosing to help someone who's actively trying to damage my reputation, someone who's lying about me publicly. If that's the kind of person you want to associate with, then we were never as good friends as I thought. I walked out of Murphy's bar and didn't look back. 2 weeks later, the real confrontation began. I was leaving my lawyer's office after signing the final divorce papers when I found Mike and Jennifer waiting by my car. They both looked angry, which was a change from their previous concerned expressions. We need to talk, Mike said. I thought we covered everything at Murphy's. Hannah's in the hospital, Jennifer said bluntly. That stopped me cold. What happened? She tried to kill herself, Mike said. Sleeping pills. If the motel manager hadn't found her when he did, I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Is she okay? She's alive, but she's not okay. Jennifer's voice was sharp with accusation. She's broke, homeless, unemployed, and facing a lawsuit that could bankrupt her for the rest of her life. She has no friends, no family support, and no hope. And you think that's my fault? We think you went too far, Mike said. Way too far. I leaned against my car, trying to process what they'd told me. When? Last night. She left a note. Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me a photo of handwritten text. She said she couldn't live with what she'd done and what you'd done to her in return. I read the note. It was short and devastating. I'm sorry for everything. I know I destroyed my marriage and hurt the person I loved most. But I can't live with losing everything and everyone. I can't live with being hated. I'm sorry, Eliot. I hope someday you can forgive me. Jesus, I whispered. Yeah, Mike said. Jesus. Where is she now? Psychiatric hold at General Hospital, 72 hours minimum. I ran my hands through my hair, trying to think. What do you want from me? We want you to drop the divorce proceedings, Jennifer said. We want you to unfreeze her accounts. We want you to stop the lawsuit. I can't stop the lawsuit. That's Elise Lane's lawsuit, not mine. But you could ask her to drop it. Why would I do that? Mike stepped closer. Because if you don't, Hannah's going to try again, and next time she might succeed. So you're saying I should take back my cheating wife because she threatened suicide? We're saying you should show some compassion for someone who's clearly suffering. Compassion? I felt anger rising in my chest. Mike, she had an affair for 6 weeks. She went on a public date with her boss. She accused me of domestic abuse. She tried to destroy my reputation. And now I'm supposed to show compassion because she's facing consequences? She made mistakes. Stop calling them mistakes, I snapped. Mistakes are accidental. Everything Hannah did was deliberate. She chose to have the affair. She chose to go on the date. She chose to lie about me publicly. Those weren't mistakes. They were choices. Jennifer's eyes blazed. And your choices? Buying her company just to get her boss fired? Turning all her friends against her? Leaving her with nothing? My choices were reactions to her choices. She started this war. And you finished it by trying to destroy her completely. I finished it by making sure there were consequences for her actions. Mike shook his head. This isn't consequences, Eliot. This is revenge. And it's gone too far. Has it? Because from where I'm standing, Hannah got exactly what she asked for. She said she needed more than what I could give her. She said she wanted to see what else was out there. Well, now she knows. She could have died, Jennifer said quietly. That would have been her choice, too. The words hung in the air between us like a toxic cloud. Mike and Jennifer stared at me with expressions of horror and disgust. I don't know who you are anymore, Mike said finally. I'm the same person I've always been. I'm just not pretending to be okay with being treated like garbage anymore. Taking back your wife isn't being treated like garbage. It's called forgiveness. Taking back my wife would be teaching her that there are no real consequences for betraying me. It would be telling her that she can do whatever she wants, as long as she threatens to hurt herself afterward. Jennifer stepped forward. She loves you, Eliot. She made mistakes, but she loves you. No, Jennifer. She loves the security I represent. She loves having someone to fall back on when her other choices don't work out. But she doesn't love me enough to stay faithful. She doesn't love me enough to choose me first. People change. People don't change. They just get better at hiding who they really are. Hannah showed me who she really is when she looked me in the eye and told me she was going on a date with another man. Mike pulled out his phone. I'm going to show you something, and then we're done talking. He showed me a video. Hannah, in a hospital bed, looking pale and broken. She was talking to the camera through tears. Eliot, if you see this, I want you to know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for everything. I know I hurt you, and I know I destroyed our marriage. I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know that I love you. I've always loved you, even when I was too stupid to show it. The video continued for another minute, with Hannah taking full responsibility for the affair and begging for a chance to make things right. She recorded that this morning, Mike said. She wanted you to see it. I handed the phone back without comment. That's it? Jennifer asked. That's your reaction? My reaction is that she's very good at saying what people want to hear when she needs something. You think she's manipulating us? I think she's doing what she's always done, using emotional appeals to avoid consequences for her actions. Mike and Jennifer exchanged a look that told me everything I needed to know about our friendship. We're done, Mike said. Jennifer and I are done with you. I figured as much. We're going to help Hannah get back on her feet. We're going to support her through this. Good for you. And we're going to make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. That got my attention. Meaning? Meaning, we're going to tell people the truth about what you did to your wife, how you systematically destroyed her life out of revenge. Go ahead. Tell them the whole truth. Tell them about the 6-week affair. Tell them about the public date. Tell them about the lies she told about me on social media. We will. Good. Because I'm tired of people thinking this is about forgiveness and second chances. This is about a woman who betrayed her husband and is now facing the consequences of that betrayal. Jennifer shook her head. You're a cold, vindictive man, Eliot Carver, and someday you're going to realize what you've lost. I've lost a cheating wife and 2 friends who think I should accept being betrayed. I'll survive. They walked away without another word, and I stood by my car for a long time, thinking about Hannah in that hospital bed and wondering if I was the monster they thought I was. Then I remembered the look on her face when she told me she was going on a date with another man, and I decided I could live with being the monster. The final confrontation came 3 months later at the annual Founders' Day festival in downtown. I was walking through the crowd, enjoying the anonymity of being just another face in the crowd, when I heard my name being called. Eliot! Eliot Carver! I turned to see Hannah pushing through the crowd toward me. She looked better than she had in months, healthy, well-dressed, confident. Behind her, I could see Mike and Jennifer watching from a distance. Hannah, I've been hoping to run into you. Have you? She smiled, and for a moment I saw a flash of the woman I'd married. I wanted to thank you. That wasn't what I'd expected. Thank me? For the wake-up call, for forcing me to face the consequences of what I'd done. She gestured around us. I've got a new job now. marketing coordinator for the city. It doesn't pay as much as Pinnacle, but I like the work. Good for you. I've also been going to therapy, working through some issues. She paused. I wanted to apologize. Really apologize. Not just the desperate apology I gave you at Murphy's. I waited. I betrayed you in the worst possible way. I humiliated you publicly, and then I tried to make you look like the villain when you refused to just accept it. She took a deep breath. I was selfish and cruel, and I'm sorry. Okay. I also wanted you to know that I understand why you did what you did. I understand why you couldn't just forgive me and move on. Do you? I destroyed your trust. I destroyed our marriage. And when you refused to pretend everything was okay, I tried to destroy your reputation. She shook her head. If someone had done that to me, I probably would have done the same thing. I studied her face, looking for signs of manipulation or hidden agenda. I didn't see any. The suicide attempt? I asked. Was real, and it was my choice, not yours. I was trying to escape the consequences of my actions, and when I realized I couldn't, I tried to escape everything. She met my eyes. But that wasn't your fault. That was mine. Mike and Jennifer don't see it that way. Mike and Jennifer mean well, but they don't understand what I put you through. They see me as a victim because I'm the one who ended up with nothing. But they don't see that I'm the one who threw everything away. A crowd of people pushed past us, laughing and carrying festival food. Normal people living normal lives, not dealing with the aftermath of betrayal and revenge. So what now? I asked. Now nothing. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for another chance. I'm just acknowledging what happened and taking responsibility for my part in it. And my part? She was quiet for a moment. Your part was protecting yourself and making sure I faced consequences for my actions. I don't like how it felt, but I can't say it was wrong. Over her shoulder, I could see Mike and Jennifer approaching. Their expressions were tense, worried. Your support system is coming, I said. Hannah glanced back, then looked at me again. They're good friends. They helped me when I had nowhere else to go, even though it cost them their friendship with me. Yes, even though. She paused. I'm sorry about that too. I know how much your friendship with Mike meant to you. It meant enough that I thought he'd understand why I couldn't just pretend you hadn't betrayed me. He understands now. We've talked about it. He still thinks you went too far, but he understands why you did it. Mike and Jennifer reached us, flanking Hannah protectively. Eliot, Mike said with a curt nod. Mike, Jennifer. We were just leaving, Jennifer said, taking Hannah's arm. Actually, Hannah said, I want to stay and talk for a few more minutes. Mike and Jennifer exchanged a worried look. Hannah, Jennifer started. It's okay, really. Hannah looked at me. Unless you'd rather I leave? I thought about it. Part of me wanted her to leave, to disappear from my life completely. But another part of me was curious about this new version of Hannah, the one who took responsibility for her actions. You can stay, I said. Mike stepped closer. If you do anything to hurt her— Mike, Hannah interrupted. It's fine. No, it's not fine. He destroyed your life once already. I destroyed my own life, Hannah said firmly. Eliot just made sure I couldn't pretend otherwise. Jennifer looked between us with confusion. Hannah, what are you doing? I'm having a conversation with my ex-husband. A conversation we probably should have had months ago. You tried to have conversations with him. He refused to listen. No, Hannah said. I tried to avoid consequences and get him to rescue me. That's not the same thing as having a conversation. Mike's face was red with frustration. Hannah, this man systematically destroyed everything you had. Your job, your home, your finances, your reputation. My job was destroyed because I had an affair with my boss and violated company policy. My home was destroyed because I chose another man over my husband. My finances were destroyed because I was financially dependent on someone I betrayed. My reputation was destroyed because I made my affair public and then lied about my husband on social media. You're defending him? I'm taking responsibility for my own actions. Jennifer shook her head. The therapy has messed with your head. You're blaming yourself for things that weren't your fault. The therapy helped me see things clearly for the first time in years. Hannah's voice was getting sharper. I made choices, bad choices, and those choices had consequences. Eliot didn't create those consequences. He just made sure I couldn't avoid them. By buying your company and getting you fired. By exercising his rights as a shareholder in a company where I was violating policy. By turning your friends against you. By telling our friends the truth about what I'd done. Mike threw up his hands. This is insane. Hannah, he left you with nothing. Nothing. I left myself with nothing when I chose Richard over Eliot. When I told my husband I was going on a date with another man. When I publicly humiliated him and then lied about him on social media. Hannah's voice was steady, but I could see tears in her eyes. I did that. Not him. The Hannah we know would never say these things, Jennifer said. The Hannah you know was a selfish, manipulative woman who blamed everyone else for her problems. I'm trying to be better than that. The crowd around us had thinned as people moved on to other festival attractions. We were standing in a relatively quiet pocket near the fountain, but I could still hear music and laughter from nearby. Hannah, I said quietly, you don't have to defend me to them. I'm not defending you. I'm defending the truth. Mike stepped between us. The truth is that you drove your wife to attempt suicide. The truth, Hannah said before I could respond, is that I attempted suicide because I couldn't handle the consequences of my own actions. Because I'd spent so many years having other people fix my problems that I didn't know how to fix them myself. That's not... It is true, Mike. And until I accepted that truth, I couldn't start rebuilding my life. Jennifer was crying now. We're trying to help you. I know you are, and I love you both for it. But helping me means supporting me in taking responsibility for what I did, not enabling me to blame Eliot for everything. So you're choosing him over us? Mike asked. I'm choosing honesty over comfortable lies. Mike and Jennifer stared at her for a long moment, then at me. This isn't over, Mike said. Yes, it is, Hannah replied. It's been over for months. We just haven't accepted it yet. Mike and Jennifer walked away, leaving Hannah and me alone by the fountain. You just lost your support system, I observed. I lost friends who were enabling me to avoid responsibility. There's a difference. Is there? She smiled sadly. You taught me that there is. We stood in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching the fountain and listening to the distant sounds of the festival. So what happens now? I asked. Now I continue rebuilding my life. I continue therapy. I continue taking responsibility for my choices. And us? There is no us, Eliot. There can't be. Too much has happened, and trust doesn't just grow back. Do you want there to be an us? She considered the question carefully. Part of me will always love you, but love isn't enough when trust is gone, and I destroyed that trust completely. Yes, you did. Could you ever trust me again? I thought about it honestly. I don't know, maybe someday, but not now and probably not soon. Then there's your answer. A group of teenagers ran past us, chasing each other and laughing. Young love, uncomplicated by betrayal and consequences. Do you regret it? Hannah asked. What you did to me? Do you regret what you did to me? Every day. Then no, I don't regret it. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret doing it. She nodded. I thought that's what you'd say. Are you disappointed? No, I'm relieved. It means you're not going to pretend this was all some big misunderstanding. It wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a betrayal. Yes, it was. The sun was starting to set, casting long shadows across the festival grounds. Most of the families with small children were packing up and heading home. "I should go," Hannah said. "Where?" "I have a small apartment across town. Nothing fancy, but it's mine." "Good for you." She started to walk away, then turned back. "Eliot?" "Yeah?" "For what it's worth, I think you're a good man who was pushed too far by someone who didn't deserve you. And I think you're a woman who made terrible choices but is trying to do better. Is that enough?" "It's a start." She smiled. A real smile this time, not the manipulative one I'd grown used to over the years. "Goodbye, Eliot." "Goodbye, Hannah." I watched her disappear into the crowd, and for the first time in months, I felt something like peace. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but closure. Hannah had finally taken responsibility for her choices, and I had made sure there were consequences for those choices. It wasn't a happy ending, but it was an honest one. And sometimes, honest is enough.